Today, the two main environmental problems Hong Kong faces are without doubt air pollution and climate change. But how do these two issues relate to electric cars? First, some background information. Air pollution is a serious issue. In 2012, complaints about air pollution rose 30% over 2011. For example, Causeway Bay PM2.5 levels were above the WHO's limit of 25 micrograms per cubic meter on 227 days in 20. The five major pollutants are sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, suspended particulates referring to PM10 and PM2.5, volatile organic compounds, and carbon monoxide. Of these five major pollutants, road transport is a significant contributor to four, creating 18% of all nitrogen oxide emissions, a tenth of all PM10 and PM2.5 emissions, and a whopping 54% of all carbon monoxide emissions. Moving on to climate change. Climate change is another grave threat that Hong Kong is facing. Although Hong Kong's per capita carbon footprint of 6.2 tons in 2016 is small for a developed nation, the government seeks to reduce that number to 3.3 to 3.8 tons by 2030 to comply with the Paris Agreement. According to government data, the transportation sector is the second largest source of greenhouse gases in Hong Kong, amounting to 18% of our city's total emissions.
But how can electric cars help solve this threat? Electric cars use energy stored in rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. What this means is that electric cars themselves do not emit pollutants or greenhouse gases at the endpoint user. It is also important to note that as electric cars use electricity provided from the electricity grid, an electric vehicle's carbon footprint would depend on the carbon footprint of the grid itself. Studies have found that even in the most coal-heavy electricity grids, such as Poland, electric vehicles produce 25% less greenhouse gases than diesels over their lifetimes. In electricity grids least reliant on fossil fuels, such as Sweden, electric vehicles produced 85% less greenhouse gases than diesels. With over 98% of Hong Kong's road transport being powered by fossil fuels, mass adoption of electric vehicles is all but guaranteed to lead to a substantial drop in roadside air pollution and per capita CO2 emissions. Moreover, the benefits of electric cars don't stop at being better for the environment. Electric cars are more energy efficient compared to gasoline or diesel vehicles. This is because gasoline and diesel engines are limited by thermodynamics to 15 to 20% efficiency, while electric vehicles are free of such constraints and have onboard efficiency of over 90%, reduced to around 80% when stored chemical energy and recharging is factored in.
However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for electric cars, as moral and ethical issues surround the cobalt used in most electric car batteries. Cobalt is mainly extracted in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where widespread child labor is used to extract cobalt to meet rising demands for batteries. Furthermore, miners work in perilous conditions, being exposed to highly radioactive uranium deposits and rock dust, while mining waste pollutes underground waters and rivers. What this means is that every purchase of electric cars increases demand for cobalt, further perpetuating the situation in Congo. Nevertheless, this ethical issue will soon be in the past, with Panasonic developing cobalt-free batteries and Tesla pledging to use cobalt-free batteries in the next generation of electric vehicles. Despite slight ethical issues that will soon be solved, it is blindingly obvious that the innumerable pros of electric cars vastly outweigh its few cons. Furthermore, as battery technology continues to progress, electric cars will only become more efficient with longer ranges and faster charging times. From this, it is undeniable that electric cars are the vehicles of the future, and its mass adoption a worthy cause to champion. To promote this vehicle of the future, the Hong Kong government has implemented a multitude of measures to promote the adoption of electric cars. In early 2018, the government announced a new replacement scheme allowing private car owners to scrap and deregister their own old private car, then register a new electric private car to enjoy a higher first registration tax concession of up to $250,000. Old concessions for electric private cars of up to $97,500 continued the 31st of March 2021, a $300 million pilot green transport fund that encourages the public transportation sector to adopt low-carbon transport technologies such as electric commercial vehicles. Despite the government providing financial incentives to adopt electric vehicles, sadly, electric cars remain unpopular in Hong Kong, with only about 11,000 at the end of 2017, largely due to a lack of coverage from mass media and a lack of public interest. But you can help change that. Next time you're looking for a new car, pick an electric. Promote electric cars through social media to your peers and tell them the benefits of electric cars.